morning, everybody. Welcome. Today we have a special meeting preceding our extraordinary General Assembly or meeting. And we will talk about, we'll try to connect the two meetings somehow, but they're still independent. So if you can't stay for both, feel free to stay or to go. We start with harmonization text, and comes from the book Words of Courage, psychography of Francisco Xavier and Carlo Bacelli, by diverse spirits. And the text is called As Much as You Love Each Other. By this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for another. Jesus. Gospel of John, chapter 13, verse 35. Not only for the many meetings you take part, not only by the knowledge of the Holy Scriptures, not only by the struggle you face in the name of the ideal, not only for the assistance activities you inspire, not only for the fidelity to the commitments made, not only by the number of followers you have, not only by the detachment you have of the material goods, not only by resignation on suffering, not only by the gift of mediumship you have, not only by the institutions you helped to build, not only by cultivating the truth, not only by the simplicity of habits. Above all, the disciples of the Master, in any place or any time, according to his words, will be known by loving each other. Text came from the Spirit Albino Teixeira. Let us pray. Let's turn off the lights. Invite you all to rise your spirits, connecting to the guides of this house, your guardian angels, all the workers of Jesus, all the workers in the name of good, in the name of Father. Dear Father, in this very special morning that we come here as brothers and sisters, looking after each other, helping each other, trying to exercise the true fraternity, trying to exercise all the teachings Jesus left us with the Christianity, trying to exercise all the teachings of the spirits that we have in our hands. Father, please enlighten all the beings here today, incarnated or disincarnated. Please invite all of us to find the feeling of love that connects all of us, even those who decide to stay away. They always come back to your house, Father, in their own hearts. And today, we claim you. Help us to connect our hearts, to unify our purpose, to help Jesus, to bring Spiritism to Calvary, Alberta, and Canada. And if this meeting finds a special part in the heart of each one of us, may we always remember we are here to practice fraternity. May our thoughts and prayers be with all the ones who lost their lives in Minas Gerais, Brazil, in that disaster that so many people are still trying to find the good ones. Many people are trying to heal the losses. And for the disincarnated, may they be rescued for your good and benevolent spirits. So be it. Welcome everybody. More faces now. Lights come on. Some people materialize. That's nice. Welcome everybody. Welcome. We'll be talking about one thing. We'll make an introduction just by the title, because I was talking with our expert in English here, Renata, and she was saying, no, it's unified. No, it's unifying. It's unified. No, it's unifying. If it was unified, it would mean that we are all already connected somehow, and which is not exactly a lie or something that's not true. But we're trying to unify our hearts, to connect really our hearts, to find fraternity among the Spiritists. And this is the subject that we will talk about today. It will all be based in the Gospel of John, the Spirit's book, the Gospel according to Spiritism, and the book Words of Courage. Our objective today is understand the virtue fraternity as one of the most important virtues to practice Christianism and Spiritism, or Christianity and Spiritism. To start, we would like to invite you for initial reflection. How it has been to live among other Spiritists for you? Is it hard? Is it easy? Is it good? Is it not so good? How is it to live beside people who have the same belief that you have? Do you feel pain to practice Spiritism with other people? In other words, exercise the teachings of Spiritism while we are with other people. Some people call it testify. What does Jesus taught us about fraternity? And finally, what is the relation between love and fraternity? And before we go on, I would like to open some quotes here, because the word fraternity, mainly in North America, is very badly understood and not so well used as it is a virtue. But it's used like a society. So fraternity of people who are in the university. So they call those groups that are they call fraternities, which is not a bad way to see it, but with the time running, today people don't see anymore this word in the full meaning of fraternity as a virtue. And this is very important, because the British English, if you go in the Oxford Dictionary or any other British, you're going to see the main instruction, what is the virtue or the feeling, the noble feeling of fraternity. If you go in a American dictionary, might have some other meanings more connected to these little groups that gather together because of a main goal. Either they study in the same university or they have their own beliefs. Why I'm saying this, I would like to clarify that we will be using fraternity as the virtue, as a noble feeling. And to start, I would like to hear from you guys what you understand as fraternity. You can say it's a society of people who go to university. What does fraternity means to you? You don't need to be shy. I know that's still morning on Sunday, very windy outside, by the way. People are maybe a little shaken up, right, Carol? But your hair looks beautiful now, so don't you worry. What is the meaning of fraternity? Come on. Well, why don't you start? Since,
right. Fraternal brothers. So brotherhood, or treat others as a brother.
Good way to see it.
The relationship between brothers. That's okay, I understood your.
Cool. Maybe fraternity is like a relationship between human beings in a different level. So as you're seeing how humanity as a whole family of the whole earth, and somehow that you care about everyone and yourself.
Okay, that's a good one as well. Any other would like to add something that has in mind, or?
I think for me, it's understand that all of us are sons of God. They're working, everybody together in their own weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
But you understand this, but you still are fraternal with others.
Okay. Why I'm asking this question? Because sometimes it's hard for us to understand what is really a virtue. A virtue is a feeling, something deep inside of us, it's not an external thing. It can be expressed through our actions, and that's what we are looking for here. So we practice and it becomes some natural thing. But fraternity is something that comes from deep inside of me, a noble feeling that I have that connects us to each other, to other people. And most of the time we mention here that virtues are connected to divine laws. Usually one virtue connects directly to one divine law. So which divine law would the fraternity better fit in this way of thinking? Is there any divine law that talks about connecting us? Love, justice, and charity are connected because all the divine laws are connected, right? But they are the higher one, and they have their own virtues for law of love, virtue love, law of justice, virtue of justice,
Society.
law of society. Let me finish because then it can be a little tricky. And law of charity, virtue, charity. The law of society, as he well said, which is well studied by Allan Kardec in the Spirits book. There is a whole session in the part 3 of the Spirits book talking about law of society, which Kardec investigates a lot the relationship between people or the lack of a relationship. Are we here to be to live alone? So why there are people who isolate themselves in hills or beach or somewhere that nobody lives? Or let's say, why do we isolate ourselves even if we are here today? Can it be real? Can we isolate ourselves even though I am here standing here or you are sitting there? Can I be isolated or not?
Yes.
So, with that said, what is the opposite of fraternity then? The lack of what?
Society.
The lack of society or this fraternal connection between us.
Is that forward?
Direction.
Indirection.
Interaction.
Yeah, good way to see it. Disconnection, many ways to see. But it is very important to understand that, okay, now I understand that there is a connection between me and you and you and you and you with me. And this connection can be done with a noble feeling called fraternity, or in a fraternal way, or not. For example, what Renata said about brothers, blood brothers, who don't live very well together. Are they practicing fraternity? Most likely not.
Yeah, but also the books of the Allan Kardec also said about the real brothers and the blood brothers.
Yes.
So,
And the Gospel according to Spiritism has a beautiful chapter that talks about really this connection, and this connection, the spiritual connection and the blood connection that we have. And this affinity that we have between spiritual or people who love sometimes can be way stronger. Actually, I was talking with someone yesterday. It is very interesting because sometimes we find during the incarnation, people that we have way more connection or way more affinity than people who are our own blood, which is natural. Because the family is invited to develop this, although most of the time what we do in the family, we just run away. We give up. Oh, I tried for 20, 30 years and I am done. Why I will keep trying to love someone that hates me? And we will talk about this because this is very important. Can I love someone that hates me? Is it possible?
Yes, it depends on yourself.
Not easy.
Not easy.
Depends on
It's a
you,
hard
for
work.
sure. It is a hard work. But it is impossible. Okay.
And also it's worth it to do it.
It is very worth. That's why it's your blood brother or my blood brother, right? It's not for somebody else. You are invited to be there. So, to continue our reflections, who is Jesus? A myth? A legend? A prophet? Maybe a martyr? Who is Jesus? And I'm basically repeating, most of you know this, but I'm repeating this because this creates the whole structure of our meeting today, because we're studying what Jesus talked about, fraternity. So if I don't know who is Jesus, it's why I'm talking about Jesus, then not about Buddha or somebody else. So who is Jesus? Or model and guide? Everybody agrees with that? Ah, yeah. You're just missing out to learn by heart the number of the question. So in the question 625 of the Spirits book, Kardec asks the spirits, what is the perfect standard that God has offered to humankind as guide and model? And the answer, very straightforward, look at Jesus. So Jesus is someone that God has offered us for us to model ourselves and follow him. A guide, someone that you follow, right? If you are going in a hiking and there is a guide, you are following. You are going in front of the guide because there is someone guiding you through the path. And model, because he is the exact, precise, perfect standard that God has offered us. So we will model ourselves the way he lived. So when we ask, what would someone do if you or her was in my place? Who should be the first person we should think in this time? After reading this, what would Jesus do in my position? And Kardec goes beyond just this very simple answer from the spirits. He makes some comments that are very important for us. Jesus is the highest standard of moral perfection to which humankind may aspire on earth. God offers him as the most perfect model, and the doctrine he taught is the purest expression of God's law, because he was animated by the divine spirit and was the purest being that has ever walked on earth, which is very strong when we see this. Because many people still say, Oh no, Jesus was just another important guy that brought very nice teachings, but Buddha did this as well, and uh, Moses, and many other. We could say that. But when Kardec says, purest being that has ever walked on earth, that is an interesting call. So, with knowing now that he is this most perfect model, and we come to the next question now. So why do we need Spiritism then? Why Spiritism exists? If Jesus has already, his doctrine taught the purest expression of God's law. Why do we need Spiritism then? Isn't it just studying Christ that we will be all saved? And saved of what, right? Anyway, I'm not getting in that specific subject. But. So why do we need Spiritism? What is a Spiritism? Huh?
Consoler.
The consoler.
Remembering.
Remembering.
Third revelation.
Third revelation. What else? All the answers are good. I'm not saying they're wrong. The opposite. You're very, very good at answering. But from Jesus' teachings in John chapter 14, verse 15 to 18, Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments, keep my teachings, and I will pray the Father, and he will give you another consoler. Another important word there. Consoler. That he may remain with you forever. The Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. But you know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. I will not leave you orphans. I will come to you. It's a very important passage. What were Jesus' commandments? Linking to the first phrase there. Does anybody remember Jesus gave us commandments? Wasn't commandments just from Moses? Moses gave us the 10 commandments, or brought us the 10 commandments from God.
Summarized those.
He downloaded
Jesus
it.
what?
Summarized those.
Summarized.
Moses downloaded from the cloud in the Talmud.
Oh yeah, a stone. Can you remember what was the summarizing?
Right here. The first one is love God as that's the biggest one, and each other's as yourselves. But this other one connected with the first one.
Okay, that's pretty good. Basically, Matthew chapter 23, Jesus says to Senhor da lei, a Pharisee, whoever, a sacerdote or whoever, he was testing Jesus. So, Lord, what is the law then? And Jesus answered, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your knowledge. This is the first and most important commandment and great commandment. The second, related to it, or like it, you shall love your brother or your neighbor as yourself. So this summarizes really the 10 commandments and go way broader, because it's way, way more basically his law or commandment, love. Love God, love yourself, love your neighbor, love everything. And then Jesus said there, keep my commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. Why we are talking about this? Because there is a chapter in the book Gospel According to Spiritism that Kardec makes the point, and a spirit called Spirit of Truth signs all the messages in that chapter, Spirit of Truth. And there the point is, Spiritism is the consoler promised by God or by Jesus. I am summarizing here. We have already talked about this. Maybe some of you are kind of exhausted of hearing this, but it is important to the goal we're aiming to get.
And Eric, can you quickly explain to me why Spiritism is the consoler?
Yes. So there are three main things that connect us. First, came through revelation. It came consoling hearts that death is not the end. And if you die, you not necessarily will burn in hell for the whole eternity. So it clarified, it consoled all our sins. The second point connected to this is when he says, the world cannot receive, neither sees or know, but you know, and he dwells on you. Because this Spiritism is a whole group of spiritists, superior spirits that came, brought us messages, but never gone away. They are still with us and will remain with us forever. That's why Kardec said the Spiritism is not just the 5 books, not just codification. This is the base. This is the foundation of Spiritism, but the Spiritism progresses. And with this progression, it will remain forever progressing. So this is the second thing. And the third thing is Spiritism brought back the roots of the first few Christians, bringing the knowledge how they lived, how they worked, how they prayed, everything for us to understand that at some point, Jesus said, I will give you someone that will repeat what I said. After, this is summarized, but he says, it will repeat what I said in the same passage in the Gospel of John. The Consoler Christ will repeat what I said. And Spiritism repeats. Basically clarifies parables, the metaphors, or anything. And if you are curious, I invite you to read the question 627 of the Spirit's book, because talk exactly about this. In the times of transition that we live right now, there is no longer time for us to claim ignorance.
And is it the Spiritism beyond the Spiritism as itself? Like, is it the Spiritism of this truth beyond the Spiritism itself? Like, go in different ways, in different paths?
I don't, sorry.
Like the second point you said it was related to like
that's progressive.
yeah, but also I'm just wondering, is that just for the spiritists, or it's also like they are making some inspirations around different religions or different places to bring this the same here?
Sure. What you're trying to say is that the other religions are approaching to Spiritism as we see time pass. And that's for sure. That's also why Kardec said, Spiritism is not the religion of the future. But what? The future of the religions. It's totally different. They will progress as well to get closer to what Spiritism teaches. There are many ways to connect to God. Religion means religare, reconnect to God. But the truth is just one. That's why Spiritism is settled on the truth, because it's settled on Christianism. Although we see some influences of ourselves in Spiritism sometimes, what we call Spiritist movement, which is not the same of the doctrine, but the doctrine is very pure in its aim to stay side by side with Christ's teachings.
Because it's true, not just other religions will prove, but also even science will, with the time, getting together and prove something that the Spiritism has been talking for a while.
Yeah. We can go in the subjects a little longer, but one important thing, and we'll talk about this during our general meeting later, there are many ways, and that in the past who are in Spiritism for a longer time know what I'm going to talk about. In the past, like in the 70s or even the 80s or 60s, there were groups classified that I am scientific Spiritism, so they just liked the science. And some others, no, I were just religious, we just talk about God. And the others, they were more focused on the philosophy side. Here at FSS, we didn't pick one or another. We understand that the three have to live together. There is no space for just practice the scientific side of Spiritism. There is no space to just practice this philosophical side of Spiritism or just the religious. But the three together is that this strong religion, science, and philosophy that brings answers since the beginning of humanity and helps us to console our hearts when we are doomed, when we fall. And we all fall. We are in a planet of trial and expiation. Those who think, oh, I have so wonderful life, I've never been sad. Once I heard a boy saying that, and I am not sad. A few months later, was with a huge depression. So we've got to be careful because we live in cycles in our life and many things. With all that said then, if Spiritism came to promote the teachings of Christ, what is a spirit society then? What is this house or this home? Why do we need spiritual societies? Centro Spiritus. Even if, because Jesus said the kingdom of God is in your hearts. It's inside you. Not in the temple, not in the tallest mountain.
The connection makes the learning with pastors, it's like prevent us to go to the wrong path as well, and also give us support when our the needs, like
But
time of needs.
just reading the Spiritism, Spirit's book, or the whole learning by heart the whole Bible and the whole Spiritist codification wouldn't solve it.
Are you gonna feel the warm love just by books?
Is
You don't feel. That's the point.
Is the
You-
charity too, like the charity that we can together? That
Why
we
don't
can
you?
learn with
Why
each
can't you
other?
do charity alone?
We can do, but we can do together as well. And we can pray
We can do
together.
it together, and then you connect to fraternity, that's the law of society. But my question is very simple. Do we need Spiritist societies or not? Are they something that if we don't have, we're doomed to go to hell
Not another way
or
to
umbrella?
spread. Like for me, it's a great news. The Spiritist. So it's a way
The
to spread
Spiritist home is somewhere where we can feel. Spiritist home is where we study and we start practicing it. We don't need to wait to go running to somewhere else to practice. We can start here. The Spiritist Society is a moral laboratory where it aims to promote the knowledge of the divine laws and teach incarnated beings about the functioning of these laws, making them intelligible and applicable to our daily conduct. So that's the point. Yes, the knowledge is all here. The knowledge is on the Bible. We can get the knowledge even YouTube or whatever. Just listen. But we can't practice just reading. We can't feel just reading. Well, we might feel a little bit, but the exercises to really comprehend that, one great place to do it, and I'm not saying this is the only one, but a great place to do it is here. Because it is a place of study, fraternity, prayer, and work. So with that all said, ladies and gentlemen, and babies, or young girls, what does Jesus says about fraternity? In John chapter 33, verses 34 and 35, Jesus says that a new commandment, that was all after what we talked before, was actually in the night of the last feast, just the day before of he was in prison. A new commandment I give you, that you love one another. Well, but you already said that. I have told you that you have also loved one another. By this, all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Well, first, this answer one question from the beginning, our initial reflection. What is the connection between love and fraternity? There is no way to practice fraternity without the feeling of love. But for us as Spiritists, we are, as he is our model and guide, the one that we are trying to model our actions and follow.
Excuse me. Are you going to explain more about the in the further slides. It's just because maybe people misunderstood the word love.
In what sense?
Sometimes they think that love is just like
Passion?
passion or like,
Yeah. Love. Thanks for this opportunity. Love is a virtue, as we said. But the law of love, justice, and charity, as more mentioned before, is the highest law. Is the law that connects everything else. And love is also a law and a virtue. So if it is a virtue, it's a noble feeling. It's something that comes from deep inside of me. It's not something that I want, for example, passion or the feeling of ownership, right? Because most of the time, the passion is connected of a feeling of ownership. You're owned by me, so you have to love me. And it is nothing related to that. The feeling of love is a true feeling that we have for each other, that we are together, we are brothers and sisters, we are, is the word in Portuguese, in English, pertencente, belonging of the universe, and sons and daughters of God. So it's way beyond. Thanks for asking to clarify this. So with this, Jesus is inviting us to love one another, so everybody will see us as his disciples. Or in other words, he is also inviting us to practice love together, acting and giving the example, so other people, through this example, will know that you are my disciple. This little figure, in my opinion, represents very well this. He's inviting us to connect our hearts, our feelings, not just our knowledge. Because Spiritists, Christians, and many others have chose many times to connect themselves by just knowledge, just by what is written in the book, and then comes here to talk about beautiful things, but in practice, that doesn't exist. So then, there is a wonderful invitation in Spiritism that connects us to that Jesus teaching that says, "O Spiritists, love one another. This is the first teaching. Educate yourselves. This is the second." Usually we keep just till here, but we have always to remember what he says about this, the spirit of truth. All truths are found in Christianity. Love one another comes before educate ourselves. Is it possible to fully love someone without knowing what Fernando just asked? What is love? We have to understand, we have to educate ourselves to love. That's why it's a cycle. The more I love, I will educate myself, I will love more. So it's like a next spiral and keeps growing. It's nothing something that, okay, I learned what's love, now I practice, that's it. Something that as we get to the stage that Jesus is, we might understand this way, but right now we can see people that love way better than we do, because they can really connect truly with this feeling. And we also can see people who dislove or hate or practice the opposite of love way more than us as well. So we can see that we all are evolving on this, but the invitation from the Spirit of Truth and Jesus, and if you may, the same person, because this is another meeting that we can talk about, but the Spirit of Truth is Jesus. They're inviting us to love, to practice this love, to keep educating ourselves to love even more, to more and more connect ourselves to this feeling of love, which will result in fraternity. In that first harmonization text that I brought you, I brought in purpose again by the end of our meeting today. Because now might become more clear, because it goes not only what, Eric? Now maybe it becomes more clear, not only. He says, so let's read it together. By this shall all men know that you, or Yah, are my disciples, if you have love one for another. Jesus, John 13:35. Not only how many meetings that you take part. It's not how many times we come to the Spiritist Center that we are more fraternals or we express more fraternity. There are people who can come more, there are people who can't. Not only by the knowledge of the Holy Scriptures. I can know by heart, we talked about this already. And we know a lot of, probably you guys in Brazil have knowledge of people who know probably all the questions by heart of the Spirit's book. I know just a few, okay? It's just because I repeat them a lot. Not only by the struggles you face in the name of the ideal. Many people think what really made the first Christians, real Christians, was that they were in the arena and being eaten by animals or being killed or crucified. Was that why? The same, not only. Yes, it is part, not only. And just to remind, I'm using very strong, but struggles you face in the name of the ideal can go even in our homes. That wife, that husband, that don't respect our ideal, our belief, and even though we raise our heads and keep walking. Not only for the assistance activities you inspire. Maybe I am someone that inspire a lot of people to do help to other people. Assistance when people are in need. Not only for the fidelity to the commitments made. We're not talking about the commitment to lose some weight. Usually in the beginning of the year, we have a lot of these plans, right? Commitment. In January, I have to lose all the pounds or kilos that I got during the holidays. Or the commitments to be here, to work here, or the commitments to be a better father, to be a better husband. Not only. Not only to be, not only by the number of followers you have. We may see, we have been seeing this growing in the last little while, the Spiritism. These huge icons in Spiritism that go there and then, like, they can crowd the whole soccer stadium. So many people in there. It's not only by that. Not only by the detachment of the material goods. As I can give no importance anymore. Not only. Not only by the resignation on suffering. And this is very important, because the consoler came just exactly, precisely, to bring resignation. Keep believing. These struggles that you are facing now, the sufferings that you are facing now, will be compensated in the future. Because they are not just nothing more than extracting the purity that's already inside of us. Not only by the gift of mediumship that some possess. Yeah, many think that mediums are superior beings. Or some mediums think they are superior beings. Not only. And the word gift is very, very different than many people claim. I'm missing some words in English today. Dom. We always call it dom, mediunidade. It's not it's a gift. We got it from God. And not only having it will connect us to much love each other. Not only by institutions you help it to build. We are helping all of us here together today. We are helping to build FSS. Later today, we will build the future of FSS. All together. Not only by the soul of truth, plantar a verdade. Not only for the simplicity of habits. Above all, the disciples of Jesus, according to his own words, at any place and any time, will be known for as much as you love each other. This is the beautiful invitation for us. We are not here to fight. We are not here to just sit and read more books, make beautiful quotes, tap on our backs. But that true power of a hug can be. How many of you in this place have already given a hug to someone here and felt full connection? I do it all week. I promise you. But how many of us have had the chance of using this wonderful place to exercise our anger, and develop goodness inside of us? How many of us have the opportunity in this place, have someone that I don't have so much affinity, and exercise this and develop this, using the Spiritist teachings, using the Christian teachings? How many of us have been given enough time for us to feel like apprentices and to see the others here as apprentices as well? Respecting they have their own time, respecting that they will get there. And even though they are not prepared for certain activities, for example, mediumship, not everybody is ready for mediumship, work in the mediumship. Demands a lot of commitment, demands a lot of effort. And not the effort to be here, effort at home, effort at the streets, effort at work. Using these tools we have, and this is what I want to call the Spiritist Center, the Spiritist Society, is not more than a tool in our hands to craft ourselves, to craft our diamonds. We are all diamonds. We all have the power inside of us. We all have the divine laws inside of us. We just need to use the right tools. And a tool that's based, that's settled in the divine laws is a good tool. Because a tool that's not settled in the divine laws can drive us through the paths that we might regret or suffer more. So the beautiful invitation that Jesus made, love one another. Love one another. If you want to be my disciples, love as much as you can, with all the efforts you can. Love one another.
Eric, this makes me remember what Jesus said. One simple act of love can cover a huge amount of sins. So sometimes, like, the invite is a big thing for people to go through, but we can do like this as little steps. So a simple act of love is already a big conquer for ourselves. So just ignore.
Yeah, well, for sure, and this is a wonderful remembering, because when he says that one act of love is reflecting virtues, really inspiring virtues, because when we are full of something, for example, full of fraternity, the other people will feel that energy coming from me and will feel motivated to also be fraternal. And the more we develop this, the more we will see ourselves as his disciples. And not anymore, as many people still say, I can't. I don't value that. I'm not good enough for Jesus. He is too far from me. Many people still think this way. Many spiritists think, Oh, but that's Jesus. Oh, that's Emmanuel. Oh, that's a Joana de Anjos. That's a Francisco de Assis. Are they just figures? So why don't we start putting our statues in the Spiritist home as well, just as the other religions did? Because it's something, an icon so far away from me. It's not far. It's way closer than we think. Just let your hearts feel. And a great connection for sure is this opportunity of practicing fraternity in the Spiritist home. Okay. I would love to hear more questions or suggestions or anything else, but I would like Luisa, pode ver se
You're just doing the fine.
okay. So they don't have activities.
I'll check.
Sorry. Just I want to check if they will come inside or not. But any comments? Any doubts? Did I say anything wrong here? Please correct me.
No.
No?
No activity, just doing the fine.
No activity?
Yeah.
All right. So I hope it was an enjoyable meeting. It was for me at least, having you all today, this windy day in Calgary. At least there is almost no snow outside anymore.
Yeah.
We're in end of January. We are very lucky to be this way. Can we put the song and turn off the lights, please, Victor? I invite you all to close your eyes. And controlling your breathing, start feeling lighter, staying away from the daily struggles. How much have you been loving your brothers and sisters, your family, parents, siblings, sons, daughters? How is this love for you? How it has been coming to a Spiritist house and learning Jesus' teachings, the Spirit's teachings. Does it inspire you to practice? Now feel the power of the word love. Let your memories bring you the most loved ones, even those who are way, way far away, those who have already passed away, or even those who are beside us. How can you use the same love to start loving the people that still bring you some feelings of staying away, feelings that don't make you feel the right Father, in this meeting today, we were blessed through your guides, for your workers of the eternal life, to find love in our actions, to practice love in our relationships, to really find us as true disciples of Jesus. And for that, Lord, we thank you. We thank you for having this wonderful house as a tool to craft ourselves as better beings. To have this house, to share all my doubts, all the feelings that still are not noble enough to become virtues. And here, together, write a new future for these immortal beings that we are. May this house progress. May this house help many others that are still looking after themselves and didn't find love yet. May they find the inspirations of their guardian angels to come here and be embraced as true brothers and sisters. We ask you, God, to enlighten our meeting that's coming next. And in the spirit of fraternity, we all leave this place happier, feeling more loved and loving way more than we got in here today. Thanks, Jesus. Thanks, Lord. May we have a blessed end of Sunday and a wonderful day. So be it. May I ask you a question before we go to the passes? Would you like to practice a little bit of fraternity today? Yes or no? Yes? Yes or no? Would you like to practice some initial fraternity today, right now? So please stand up and give a hug to the people around you. Muito bem, gente. A gente vai voltar para os nossos lugarzinhos para os passos. A gente pode abraçar bastante depois.
Aqui o cavalo. Oi, que eu achei. O cavalo.
Bem, obrigado a todos pela participação. A gente vai ter a nossa assembleia agora, começando daqui a pouco, só os estrogonofe de cardápio, vegetariano e de frango.